Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Commander Cockins, and we're looking at an Enterprise today. Well, no, that's wrong. Two Enterprises, or the same Enterprise.
Yes, and we'd like to thank Star Trek Adversaries for sponsoring this episode and giving us this model of the new Discovery Enterprise that we're going to be comparing with the Prime Enterprise that we saw in TOS and TOS Reimagined.
And then in
not reimagined,
Remastered.
Remastered.
And then seen in DS9 and Enterprise and TNG and video games and novels. Anyway, and this model was built by the team of Star Trek Adversaries with exact reference from the Discovery team, so it is accurate in proportion, in details, and even in window size, I have been told. So that's worth noting, and yet these scales you're about to see are not based on the correct scale of Discovery Enterprise, because we've not been informed of the exact scale of a Discovery Prize. We probably won't be until Eaglemoss comes out, but we have been told it has been upscaled to fit in with that fleet. So this episode is not looking at the correct scale, but it's looking at a direct comparison in design. So I've put both ships in scale with each other, which theoretically, conceptually, and prime timeline-y should be the case. It won't be, but it should be, and this is look at this more the design differences sort of side by side without image distortion of getting an image that from destination Germany. Like, this is just clean renders, clean orthographics, boom. Take us away, Stuart.
All right, so the first picture is one of my favorite shots of this ship, or any ship really, is from the top. And again, as he said, they're scaled to the same size based on the saucer, I would assume. That's how he did it.
Well, it's just no, it's just the size. I mean, same length.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So here you go. I mean, the Discovery Constitution does look older. It looks more like an intermediary step leading up to the TOS Enterprise we see there, in my opinion, from the NX-01. I mean, even the angled struts in the new Discovery kind of tie in with the struts of the NX-01. So I think as an intermediate step, that's fine. I know it is a Cage Enterprise, but we have seen the Cage Enterprise before. It's kept those black bars on the side of the saucer and things like that.
My first impression, honestly, is that these ships are entirely different. I mean, the instruction was, now I'm not going to talk about the legal instruction, but the actual instruction to designers were make it at least 25% different. What that might stem from, we're not going to go into, because that's been beaten about the bush with other people. But every single part of the ship is different. Apart from it having a saucer, there is nothing that is the same on this ship if you look at the top view. Every shape is different, every proportion is different, except the dimension of the front bassard, but there's details on top. So it is a completely different ship, design-wise. I mean, this is far more than 25% different. This is 100% different, but based on the original.
Yeah, but there's so many carryovers from the original, like the four squares on the saucer you see there that are lit up on the TOS one, they are carried over to the saucer of the Discovery. They're just black. Those weird L-shaped things in front of the impulse engines at the back, they are there on the Discovery one, but they're spaced further apart. They kept the visual tie-ins there. Yeah, and again, the registry is a big issue with me here. It should be bigger. It should be more TOS font like we see on the TOS Enterprise there. And USS Enterprise is straight across. It's something simple that would have just been a nice tie-in. So the Discovery Enterprise actually has no spikes on the nacelle caps, which is odd to me because the Cage Enterprise did. And since they're using some cage elements with those black stripes and things, it would make sense to have the spikes on there. But again, it's between the Cage and TOS, so they removed the spikes.
I mean, the spikes always look daft. They always did. I mean, they never added anything except a touchstone for that era, so I'm not going to mourn them per se, but yeah. No, I agree. This is, as we said before, this is a very excellent visual reboot, but clearly it's not the same ship. Clearly it's not the same, this is not a design that is trying to be Prime or trying to be Descendant or Evolutionary, or, it's a completely different, to rebuild this ship would involve, I mean, everything you wouldn't, everything is radically different. Yeah, which we know it isn't, because Enterprise was 40, 50 years old, so, we know they didn't christen a new Enterprise in between. It's the same physical geometry, and I know people complain about the refit not being the same ship, Stuart could go into a long rant about how it is because he researched it and all that jazz. But I mean, things are thinner proportionally. Again, this is not to scale, but things are proportionally smaller, thinner. Although the bridge dome's bigger, but it's sort of more an amalgam of shape. The TOS Connie has dimensions, whereas the Discovery one is just an amorphous big shape, which makes it feel more sleek, but gives it less depth. And I'm left wondering which bit is the bridge. How big is the bridge? Because it was super clear with the top one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that because this is, as we just discussed, the Discovery Enterprise is scaled up quite substantially. So it surprises me that there is such a difference in that top part. Because you can see distinctly on the TOS Enterprise where the bridge is and the size of the bridge. This one, again, it must be set in. I mean, I can see the bridge being set down a deck or two, kind of in that main part with something around it, perhaps.
But it's definitely sleeker and definitely looks faster and definitely looks a ton more NX. If this was even a 50-year ago ship, I'd be like, oh, okay. Bit weird, but cool. Yeah, okay. I mean, yes. I was about to say the refit looks radically different to the Enterprise Classic. So, I mean, 50-year gap, they made the same design, radical difference. So, I mean, there is some justification, you know. It was the most favourite design of all Trek for 100 years, therefore they just had 3 big evolutionary jumps. The NX version which was in between, then the Connie version which was in between, and the refit version which was in between. I can kind of see that. Yeah, but no, that's not the case.
But you had mentioned that it looks faster and sleeker, and that really shows when you go to the side profile. Now here's where it kind of falls apart for me a little bit. I mean, it's a lot squatter profile, which is fine. But the windows on the Discovery one are so much bigger when it's scaled the same size. And I find that remarkably odd because the Discovery Enterprise is actually substantially bigger from what we've heard. So that means those windows are way huge on the Discovery ship. Yeah. And this isn't a fan extrapolation. This is based off orthos given to Star Trek Adversaries by CBS and approved by CBS. So that I find is an odd decision.
I mean, the squatness, it does feel squished. I think it's a little bit too squished. It could have been about 25% less squished of its current squishedness. Not, it's a little bit too squat. And the original Enterprise looks good, but it does look a bit. It could be done a little bit less.
The squatness of the saucer itself, even compared to the TOS one, just doesn't make sense to me. I love the dimensionality of the original one compared to this one. This one's very, which equates to less interior volume, but then you got a bigger scale. It's just
Well, it's an interesting question because the one thing that I saw when I was doing this originally, the windows look about right, just a bit thicker. But they don't look too far off in this version, which is as if it was designed for the same size. Okay, whatever. But just looking at the blinkies, the bulbs, it's so radically smaller than the TOS Connie, but that should be the most uniform thing is a mass-produced bulb. They're not making custom bulbs for this ship. You know, that is just a bulb of the fleet. And so I instantly wanted to scale it up just to match the bulb size. You know, because the bulb is literally there to show other ships your left and right. It's a functional reason. Making them smaller would lessen their ability to work, which would mean a faulty design decision, which would be you wouldn't do that for the new flag. Whatever. But then again, same thing. If you scale the saucer to be the same thickness, which it sort of needs to be, because that's how thick a saucer needs to be minimally for it to function. Yeah. But you can see the engine fall off clearly, and the cutout clearly, and it doesn't look as dramatically different. It just looks like they just sliced it. Like it looks actually slightly closer than I thought. The cutout at the bottom, like it's just a slight, slight slice different,
Well, that being said, the clamshell doors are pushed more forward on the new one. They could have gone back farther and give more interior volume again and not had such a big lip at the back. Just odd choices, as I said. If you go to the next picture, this is a shot from the underside. And again, we see more of the same. The impulse deck is very beefy and nice on the Discovery. I like that one. But again, a lot of visual tie-ins. You got the eyebrows or the landing gear there. You got the same kind of registry layout. I don't know, the TOS Enterprise just looks so much more elegant in comparison.
Well, I like that, you know, the bottom of the nacelles in the Prime version have, you know, those pieces which they, you know, you can sort of extrapolate to the NX and such, but those pieces, you know, they went from needing to be four places around the hull to being 3 underneath the nacelle. Like, there's an interesting, like, I forgot they were there. I always forget they're there. Yeah, well, that kind of makes me wish that we'd actually see a TOS Enterprise with that same engine arrangement, like you know, designed for more maneuverable, faster sublight flight. Because I mean, it's such an easy refit just to double the impulse drive units. You know, it's advanced as it is, but this is the tactical version that, you know, trip doubles the, you know, this is what you send for a more attack style. You know, there's 5 in the fleet, and they're all better response vehicles. Because maneuverability is a huge deal, especially since D7s are more maneuverable, I believe, than the Connie, just given their smaller size and actually bigger impulse engines for their size. So that would have been cool, because it doesn't break the feel to have those rectangle pieces push out. That really doesn't hurt the shape. So I would love to see a 2S Connie with that exact piece detail.
Anyway, next shot is from the front. And again, here it kind of falls apart for me, the Discovery one. I'm not a huge fan. And here it just doesn't have any of that gravitas that we see from the other angles for me. It's something's wrong with it. Yeah, and the windows and the saucer just don't look right. There's not 2 decks there. And even if scaled up, there'd be 3 or 4 decks in that edge part, and it just doesn't look like it. It just doesn't work.
And what on earth are those front windows then? Like, I always got the sense, based on the scale of the Connie, that they were like teeny portholes that are, you know, there's a room there that is like a specific room that has teeny portholes for a reason. Whereas these are the entire saucer, basically, you know, like they don't follow the rest of the window scaling for the rest of the ship. So if you were to scale then those windows to the front windows of the other Connie, it wouldn't work at all. If you'd scale the saucer to the same size, they would be huge. I mean, it doesn't... I think you can tell that they designed the ship and they upscaled it without really redesigning the windows and re-putting those details in. Which is, yeah, because if you can imagine, if that front detail of the bridge is a bridge window, somehow, I mean, I have no idea how, then the ship would be absolutely humongous anyway, and the front windows would be the size of like a, you know, 2 floors, and it's like, oh, okay. I think there was a disconnect between the design, the forced changes by corporation, and then the VFX group took it, built it, and then they were then told to change things right at the last minute by whoever who didn't have a... I mean, they don't have a real understanding about design, otherwise they would be the designers, you know. And so when you put all those processes together, unlike people like Doug Drexler, designed the NX, gives it to Pierre Droulet, knows all about it, puts them both together, it works. You know, that there is no, like... You know, it works. But simple things, the engines are close to the hull, the struts are much thicker, much thicker, especially if you think of it as a bigger ship. Yeah, definitely too squished. And it's interesting because even if John and whatever, John and Scott, they didn't necessarily design it from the front, you know. If they designed from certain views, then accidentally, because like I said, we've said that 3/4 view looks great, some of the other views, but as soon as you do these sorts of views, it doesn't quite work.
Anyway, next view is from the back, and again, we got more of that squat profile, which is fine. But I do appreciate the beefed up impulse decks on the Discovery reimagining one. Now that raises an interesting question, because in between the impulse engines on the Discovery Enterprise, we do see the 2 lid elements, and it is supposed to be an airlock, from what we've heard. Now, on the TOS Enterprise, there's always been a circle between the 2 impulse engines. It's not an airlock. It's too small. It's just an odd... It's on every model I have. I don't know what it is. It's just... It always kind of bugged me. It's like it shouldn't be there. But it must have some kind of purpose.
Well, I would assume if it's between the impulse engines, it would be like a pressure release valve. You know, emergency pressure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something easy.
Even a thruster assembly of something, you know.
Yeah. This view actually looks pretty good. it focuses less on the windows, and you see the interesting dimensionality, and the more colourful bits also help a lot. Although, straight away I'm bringing into question that you see two windows on the literally the bottom leading bit of the saucer. Are those windows at shoe level? I mean, are they for the cat? Seriously.
since the ship is upsized, that might be a whole deck there. Who knows?
But that's like, what it doesn't. There was a disconnect there between, and that's a really important. That's one of the most visually you see them detailed is the windows, and luckily they've got time to fix this for season 2, and there's still quite a long time till it's released, and they can then fix the game, and not so much Eagle Moss models that those are set months in advance. We'll see if they work well, but this can be refined for a season 2 version, but hopefully they get that stuff in fixed and worked out, because that's kind of important actually.
We don't know how big it is, how scaled up it is, but if you scale up that Discovery hangar deck or hangar doors to the same size, that gives you a bigger ship, but not too much bigger, and it kind of works then, because there'd be a lot more room in that secondary hull, because it would bring that secondary hull size up. But still, it looks odd from these angles.
Yeah, and we can assume it's kind of a huge shuttle bay because Discovery does and Shinjo does, and
yeah,
I mean they're sticking with their guns with their own universe rather than linking it to Prime, so it will be a huge hangar. I mean, literally a hangar, but like a aircraft carrier, when it's meant to be quite a limited size bay that's actually quite small, actually, relatively speaking.
That's the problem with the TOS one. It was too small for the size of the shuttles, and there was not enough room on the sides for the corridor to be there to get into the shuttle bay. There's a lot of problems with scaling on that shuttle bay on the original one. So yeah, if they make this one super huge inside, it's going to be another odd choice. On that note, we'll go to the next picture, and this is the 3/4 view where she looks fantastic. Like I said, I do like this redesign very much. It's a very good reimagining of the Enterprise. It fits in with its own unique universe and style. Well,
what I find interesting is that we've done a video looking at all design pieces, and we like them almost all for a reason or another. This was about comparing it purely design-wise to the original, and we know it's not really a Prime ship, and it's not really trying to fit in there. It's a visual reboot that's doing its own thing, so therefore it's more about how it looks to itself, based on these different views orthographic. So we'd see it has got some flaws in terms of some certain views and squishedness, and certainly the window detail and what scale it. So it's interesting to we're not being negative. We're just trying to we've never seen the ship in this way, never. It's a fresh perspective. So it's interesting to see. Well, okay, it doesn't quite work, but as we know, not every ship looks good from every angle. A lucky few do. Most don't. So just want to point that out again, because obviously we like the ship, but certain angles, well, we'll have to see.
And if you want to use this ship, play this ship, you can do so. Go download Star Trek Adversaries. This ship is free right now. Yep.
It's in beta.
Yeah, and it's on mobile device now, I believe. So lots of ways to play it on the PC or the mobile, and we've been playing it, Samuel and myself. So look us up, Captain Foley and Commander Calkins, and Team Trekyards. We have a fleet, so come and join the Team Trekyards fleet, and maybe you'll see us on there. You can play against us.
And why do you like the game, Stuart? In a few short words.
I like the game because I'm a ship guy, and there are ship models galore. There's rotational models, and you get to get cards with new ships and have them warp in and fire against other ships. Plus, there's also character cards and stuff, but I'm not big on the character cards. That's kind of side note for me.
Yet.
Exactly. I haven't really delved into the game as much as I'd like to. I just don't have the time. But I have been playing it, and it is fun. It is a good shut your brain off for a little bit and just enjoy. And the 3D models of the ships are fantastic. They got every ship you can imagine, and there's the ones that they don't have that you can maybe imagine. They are coming out with eventually, I'm sure. So they are getting on it, but they have a lot of ships available, so you're not going to feel there's not enough choice for you.
Yes, thanks for the sponsorship, guys. If you want to sponsor us directly, there's a couple of great ways. Either Patreon, a lot of YouTubers use it to help give them a backbone of financial support so we can keep doing great stuff like this and other videos, because we've always got lots planned and we always put a lot out. Or a one-time donation at trekyards.com, because that helps. And if you want to do regular, you can do one time, please do. You get a tip at work, a bonus at work. You want to give us $20. Now, if you do that, it can make a huge, huge difference. But it's not the only way, is it, Stuart, that you can support the show?
It is not. You can go over to the Trekyards Facebook page and join our community there. Lots of great content there. Our videos get released on a regular basis. And if you're over there, you can see the release and share it around Facebook. Share it to all your friends. That's a great way to help us out. Or just click the like button and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget the notification icon so you get notified every time we upload, because we upload a lot of great content. And you'll always have something to watch from us here at Trekyards. So until next time, guys, I am Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Coggins.
I will see you guys in game. Star Trek Adversaries. Go. Download.